Last week you were worried about the Washington Redskins. You were worried about the offense. You were worried about Alex Smith. This week you don't have to worry about that. Peterson is back. And we find out one thing. This is a pretty good team with all three facets working.
With me, Barnabas.
But I am a simple farmer. My life is here. In the field.
Ahoy, hoy, Alexander Graham Bell here. No, my number is 1. You must want 2. 2, I say.
Like my father.
Ahoy, hoy.
As long as people talk too loudly on the phone, you can count on Geico saving folks money. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
I feel like we were able to be balanced, be able to take advantage of the pass game as well and keep those guys on their heels. And we actually got the running game going. The offensive line stood up and it did a great job. We had some leakage from time to time, but ultimately they played a heck of a game. The receivers stepped up and made some big plays when we needed them as well.
You take a breath of fresh air at the end, and you like the defense coming through because to keep Cam out of the end zone. Talk just a little bit about that last part of the game.
Yeah, it was kind of nerve-wracking, standing over there, but our defense, they've been playing outstanding. They gave us 3 turnovers today, so, I remember talking to Biz, and I was like, hey, if we want to get to where we see ourselves getting, being, then our defense have to come up with stops.
I wouldn't even say it's so much of an up and down nature because we only 6 weeks in, 5 games in. I think that we've been tested. You got to respond. I think even in losing the game like we did last week, we was tested, as men to bounce back, to lock in, to focus, and make this game important. And we did that.
I think we came out aggressive, man. We had a lot of plays, a lot of explosive plays, and it's coming along, man. We just got to keep on working on the little things, getting everybody on the same page and roll. We played a good defense today. They probably got one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. And so be able to get moving on the ball and run the ball and kind of keep us in a short yardage distance in second and third down, and plays to our advantage.
Welcome back to the show. Now, we can be happy this week. You're always happy after you have a win. My guys there on the set, Mike Baker, he's always happy because he always picks the special teams to win. Then you got G there. He know the receivers are going to be great. Then you got Dollar there. She throws the defense under the bus. But, guys, you have to say, every facet of the team really helped this week, and they helped get the win.
Yeah, Tony, that's the key thing, I think, is that we talked about all 3 phases of this team needing to play well for the Redskins to get this win. They jumped out right away and got a turnover on special teams. And then offense, they got it to a quick start. And then defense, they got 3 turnovers. So it took that effort from all 3 phases of the team to get this win, and the fact that they got AP started in that running game and stuck with the running game. So this was one game that definitely those 3 phases came to play.
Can I throw
Peterson is simply amazing. Did he not have a separated shoulder?
Yes.
He went out there and ran hard. And you're right, Donna. Him running the ball is so important to this team, and it's just something that you have to have. But then you want to see them spread the ball a little bit more. And Richardson is becoming that deep threat, isn't he, G?
Yeah, he had a great catch and a great touchdown, and that was something to come into. But still, we're not really, from a receiving standpoint, we're still not really going downfield a lot. You take that pass, after that pass, everything was still about 5 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards. That's kind of where we're at right now receiving. But it was a great game. And what I loved about this game is they got challenged at the end, and they met the challenge. Yeah. They held Carolina out of the end zone. They met that challenge head on. They played great football. So we got a great Redskins team, and we got an okay Redskins team. So hopefully the great Redskins team is going to show up each and every week moving forward.
Interesting thing, Tony, Ron Rivera's press conference at the end of the game, I think everybody in the press box could not believe that Cam threw 3 passes in the end zone with 5 yards to go. He could have gotten a first down and gotten 4 more opportunities. Here's what Ron Rivera said about the last 3 calls of the game. He said, on if he can break down what he saw in the last 3 offensive plays, he said, well, not necessarily. Again, we had some opportunities. We didn't take advantage of our breaks. We didn't get any breaks on those, so that's just part of it. I think Norv Turner got thrown under the bus, Tony.
Well, you know, you have to look at it,
The
and yes,
first
they
one?
probably could have
Yeah.
run the ball, but you have to look at their record when they came in. And that's one thing they were talking about prior to the game, that Cam Newton had a lot of success throwing against the Washington Redskins. Matter of fact, he had 9 touchdowns and no interceptions. So even though he had thrown the interception, they went back to what they thought was the strength. And you have to also realize they don't have that big back in there to bang right now. They
Yeah.
do have a good back, but not a big one. So they went to what they thought was best. And you're right, Norv Turner is a very good coordinator, and I don't think he should be blamed.
No, Tony. And the other
Well,
thing,
Mike, but
yeah.
hold on, Mike. But the first pass that he threw, and our guy ended up celebrating on us because it was a little bit of an overthrow.
Yeah.
The guy had him by 4 steps.
Yeah, that's true.
He had the DB by 4 steps. So if the pass would have been a little bit more on
He
cue,
would have caught it.
It would have been a touchdown.
But why wouldn't you get Funches involved, who was having a banner game? Why wouldn't you get McCaffrey involved coming out of the backfield, or do something? You have 3rd and 5.
But it's also the quarterback making those throws.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you could have saw that other
anything.
stuff.
And he was
But you
pressing.
could have saw, like, McCaffrey probably was open. He just didn't throw it to him. But
There
you
you
can't
go.
blame Nora for that.
I'm
No.
blaming Norv.
No, but the other thing about it is, you look at the second half of the Redskins offense. It's almost like they came out, they struck early, but then in the second half, it's almost like they went to sleep again. It's almost like keep the attack on them. And I'm like Gary, until they can go downfield, and they did get a lot of receivers involved in it. I mean, a lot. And then Jordan Reed, can you hear that, Tony? Jordan Reed finally caught some balls again because they got the ball to him. And then
But
even
you know-
Vernon Davis.
You're right, but you know what the thing is? I don't know if they're targeting him as much as they used to. And,
did
you know,
this
that
game.
used to be
They
Cubs'
did, yeah.
go-to guy. And at the same time, they're trying to keep him well for the season. Therefore, they're not throwing to him. Well, yes, he caught some balls, but I think the thing they really need to do is continue in the beginning all the way through the game
Thank
and
you.
run the ball. That'll help.
Well, I liked the fact that they had all 3 tight ends in the game at one time. I thought that was pretty impressive to have Jordan in there and have Vernon in there and Jeremy Sprinkle. I loved it. I hope we see more of those 3 tight end setups. That was pretty neat.
It was almost scary because the fact that you didn't have Chris Thompson, all of a sudden, Chris Thompson wasn't going to be in the game. Jamison Crowder wasn't going to be in the game. So you're like, okay, we got to get this running game going, but Chris Thompson definitely is an integral part of the team because out of the backfield running the ball, and hopefully he'll be back, and Jamison Crowder, because this week is going to be big too, Tony.
Well, you know what, fans, and just take a look at this. We're talking about what the offense did good, but one thing we haven't mentioned is the offensive line. I'm not real happy with them right now. They did run pretty well behind the line, but it was a lot of pressure on Smith. Now, when we start talking defense, and that'll be in the next segment, I'm going to talk about the defensive line because it wasn't a lot of pressure put on the big Cam. But when we come back, I'll talk to Donna first because she'll throw him under the bus. We'll be back tomorrow.
Never.
Said it's about consistency. So obviously we wasn't perfect in the Carolina game. We made the plays when we supposed to made it, but we focusing on the consistency of 4 quarters doing what you got to do. Don't beat yourself. If a team gonna beat you, they beat you. With with the execution and the plays.
But the thing we gotta understand, man, we can't go up and down. This team goes up and down. We gotta stay consistent in our preparation. Whatever we did last week, we gotta stay consistent. No laughing next week. We got the Cowboys coming in. It shouldn't be no laughing next week. We need to be business. It need to be all business from here on out. We enjoy this I ain't even gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna get on the Cowboys when I get to the house, man. We should have won this game, and we need to. The team level needs to be like when we win, and we move forward to the next game because it's a long season. So if everybody had that approach, man, we go dominate against Cowboys.
What a way to walk away and now get prepared for the Cowboys coming in here.
Yes, it's big, man. It's big. Anytime, any win is big in this league, especially against those type of players they have over there with the weapons they have and the offense they run. So it's a big challenge for us, man, especially getting embarrassed like that on Monday Night Football in front of the whole world. It's big for us to bounce back. Now we got to be consistent and keep it going, keep the same, type of attentive to the details and being locked in all week.
Now, fans, don't get me wrong, because the defense did pretty well, and right now they're one of the better defenses in the league. But when I look at the defensive line, I have a little bit of problem with the ends and the way they're rushing now. Those 2 big guys in the middle are doing their job. It's not saying the ends are not doing their job, but they need to bring more pressure. Donna, you said this earlier, and what did you think about Sunday's game and the pressure that they were bringing?
Well, I think, Tony, like you said, the middle of the defense is always there. And maybe we go back to a 3-4 defense is not working for this team and the personnel that they've got. Maybe they would be better in a 4-3, and those ends could get around. But the pressure was okay. But Cam got out of the pocket and ran for some yards. And the good thing about it is they didn't really have a running game. But what some of the players talked about is the front 7 of the Redskins wanted to make sure that they contained him enough that they did not get the running game going, and that's what happened. But you definitely have to add a lot more pressure, because the good thing about it is the turnover situation the Redskins got. Some of that was because they did get a little bit of pressure, but it has to be much better.
Well, you think about it, and okay, Mason Foster did get the turnover, and Josh Norman was really a big key in both turnovers. But if you have to look at it, and something you said kind of caught my mind, that may have been the way they wanted to rush because they wanted to contain Cam a little bit. So maybe they had those ends being more protective than going right at him. What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, and this much heralded offensive line that we have is ranked 21st, and I only mention that because now our defensive line, the Redskins defensive line, is going up against the 6th best offensive line in football, Tony. And they are 2nd in the league in rushing. So your defensive line is really going to have to step up. But I found this really cool statistic. They rush left 67 times, Dallas. They rush right the same amount of times, 67 times. They rush up the middle 78 times, Tony. And that's where the strength of the Redskins is. And if we have an advantage, that's where it is, Tony.
Oh, and I like that, Mike, because those two big guys in the middle is getting the job done, and the subs are too. But Gary, I need to ask you from a receiver's perspective. I saw a little bit of shakiness in our defensive backfield on Sunday. Did you see that? It looked as if they were getting beat in some different situations.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they played above average, but they didn't play excellent. And, for a defensive back to go against good receivers, it's in the receivers. Typically, receivers going to have a better game. But there were some things, even at the end of the game, there was an opportunity where, like I said earlier, that the guy beat our defensive back by at least 4 steps, and Cam just overthrew the ball. So hopefully they'll sit back, they'll look at the film, they'll take time to analyze what they did right, what they did wrong, and make those adjustments.
But, Tony, the thing about Dallas going against Dallas this week is that unlike Carolina, they didn't really have a running game to get going. They basically passed the ball, and Cam was their running back. But then they've got Dallas coming in here, and Ezekiel Elliott, we know what he can do, and he's been the Achilles heel of this Redskins, and the Redskins sometimes do not do a good job of stopping the run. When you look at that, what do they have to do basically to contain him, knowing what he can do?
I think that you just hit it the nail on the head. The first thing they have to do is contain the run and stay in their lanes. Do not give this guy a gap to hit anything. And the linebackers are going to have to play line close to the line of scrimmage, but at the same time, they got to get back in that deep middle to help out with the passing game. That front seven is going to be very important, and everyone have to do their job. Now, the one thing they don't need to do is overdo their job. If they play their base defense and they play it well, they'll be all right. And Mike, you said that this line is the 6th ranked line. That's not saying a lot because they haven't played well this year. Speaking of Dallas's offensive line,
No.
and I think this young defensive line of the Redskins is ready to play a very good game, and I look for it to be this week.
Well, I think the reason that they are ranked that high, Tony, is because, as I said, they're second in the league in rushing with 147 yards a game they average. That's where the statistic comes in. But when you look at both these teams passing-wise, they're both poor. Dallas is 29th. The Skins are 24th. So they're pretty evenly matched there. It's the running game. So it's AP versus Zeke.
Yeah, because Dallas has no receivers, really.
Right. Well, I look at it like this. This is a big game this week, and we're taking them one at a time, and Dallas is in the sights. When we come back, we'll talk about the special teams. They finally delivered a turnover for this team. We'll be back in a moment.
What do you mean it's not working out, Craig? I mean, I just introduced you to my parents.
Psst, Craig and Sheila broke up. What? Really? Craig and Sheila broke up? No. Craig and Sheila broke up. No. Is she okay? Never liked that guy. Oh, that was her. Craig and Sheila broke up.
Craig and Sheila. As long as office gossip travels fast, you can count on Geico saving folks money.
Craig and Sheila broke up. What?
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
When you hit that ball, you knew immediately that it was going in?
I knew it was a decent ball. I hit it pretty thin. I towed it, if you will, and it was a fast spinner, so I didn't know if it would have the legs, have the distance for it, but amen that it did.
You said something important. It was so important that all three phases of this team came together. The offense got off to a strong start. AP got the ball and was running strong, and then the defense.
Isn't he crazy?
The defense at the end, the stands that they had to do to keep Cameron out of the end zone, it took that effort from the whole team.
Everything. We had a big turnover early on with the fumble punt return and everything that you just mentioned. Like everybody had to step up and make plays, and yeah, it's you know, sometimes you'll get wins if you have 2 out of 3. You might lose one phase, win 2. Very rarely will you win one phase and get a win. And man, how close they were. Obviously, it was a close game. We had to have everything today.
That opening fumble delivered by the special teams may have been the reason that they won this game. And guys, this week that special team needs to deliver again because it's Dallas. They got pretty good special teams as well.
How did you know that? You are a genius. That's the one thing I was going to say, Tone. Yeah, Sean Dion Hamilton, all the Alabama kids had a great game. And, of course, he plays on special teams. He's the linebacker that they drafted. But, Tony, Washington's ranked 31st in kick returns. And Dallas is ranked 10th.
That's dangerous.
That's what you
just
said.
Just kick it out of end zone.
Huh?
Just kick it out of end zone. You ain't got to worry about it.
That's true.
There's no return.
But punt returns, too. That's all
But they got to
in.
cover well, too, G. They got to cover because that's very important this week. And you know what? To beat this Dallas team, You look at it, they are a better team overall. I'm speaking of the Washington Redskins, but all three facets must play well for them to beat this team.
I agree. It's always all three facets. When all three facets play well, you win football games. When one or two facets of that game plays just okay, a lot of times you lose football games. So I agree with you, Tony, 100%. All three facets have to play well.
And Tony, the other thing I think that you got to look at is that Dallas does what the Indianapolis Colts did as far as moving along the line and everything and stunning them. And so the Redskins have to be prepared for that, because that's the thing that has been the Achilles heel for facing the Dallas Cowboys in the past, is that moving defense.
Well, you got, go ahead, Tone.
Go ahead.
You know, I was just going to say that Dallas comes into town and they're all their old offensive line coaches on our side of the ball. That will be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, but he's been gone so long, I don't even know if it'll matter. You know, he's been gone a long time. The real thing is going to matter is they go out there and, as they did against Carolina, make something happen early, play the whole game, and they can win this game. Nobody's afraid of Dallas. They still Dallas Cowboys, but they're not the same Dallas Cowboys. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that, what these Redskins need to do to beat these Cowboys in a minute.
And now New Faces with Adam Batacci.
Welcome to New Faces. In this week's segment, we talk about Redskins rookie cornerback Greg Strauman. Originally from Bristow, Virginia, Strauman was a 7th-round pick out of Virginia Tech. Look for him to be a solid special teams player for many years to come.
I wish you weren't so worried about moving.
I'm hoping these nature sounds will help me relax a bit.
At least we don't have to worry about homeowners insurance. Just call Geico.
Geico helps with homeowners insurance? Good to know.
Feeling better?
I love you, Pookie Bear.
I love you, Pookie Bear. I love you, Pookie Bear. I love you, Pookie Bear.
Get to know Geico and see how easy homeowners and renters insurance can be.
Hey, sports fans, two-time Super Bowl champion Gary Clark and Pacific Dental Services have joined up to bring Redskin fans a chance to win free NFL Legend experiences. Go to www.garyclarkinc.com/fans to register for a chance to win. Good luck.
Welcome to the Sports Bar Challenge. In this week's game, we have the 49ers hosting the Rams on Sunday afternoon. Crystal City Restaurant likes the Rams. Crystal City Sports Pub likes the Rams. Greavy's likes the 49ers. Hard Times Cafe at Fairfax likes the Rams. Harry's Ale House in Fredericksburg likes the Rams. And Nando's Peri Peri Chicken likes the Rams. Look for this to be a high-scoring game, but I like the Rams by a lot. Pick LA on the road.
The New Orleans Saints beat the Redskins, dominated in that game. They'd come off their bye week, and now they head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, a team that they have not beaten in the last 3 years. The Ravens, talk about a defensive performance, a record 11 sacks against the Titans, and they kept them off the board, beating them 21-0. But guess what? Now they must face a Saints team that's ranked 3rd in the NFL on offense. They've got a running attack, they can kill you in the passing game, and don't go to sleep on their defense. So you think about the Ravens. Do you go against the home team? Yes, this week, pick the Saints.
Well, Cincinnati traveling to Kansas City. Cincinnati comes off a tough loss last week against Pittsburgh. Kansas City comes off a tough loss against the Patriots. Cincinnati, I'm sorry, it's going to be a tough loss again. Take Kansas City. They are going to spank Cincinnati's Bengals, 100%.
Okay, so they've given me Carolina at Philadelphia, and I think we all know, had it not been for Norv Turner's play calling, the Carolina Panthers would have beaten the Washington Redskins. Well, they're going into Philadelphia, and they're facing one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Carson Wentz. I know Cam's good, but he's got a 104.6 quarterback rating, and he's got Zach Ertz. Pick Philadelphia by 2.
Here we are with the picks again. My pick this week, and I played for both of these teams, New England and going to Chicago. Chicago is a pretty good team, guys. You better look out for them. The defense is probably one of the top 2 in the league, as well as the offense is getting better. I ain't going to say they're great yet. But then you look at New England. Everybody has come to realize that Brady, if you get to him early, he has a problem. These guys will get to him early, and no matter what G-Man say, pick Chicago.
My name is Jim. This is Tammy. Jim and Tammy Archie.
Jim and Tammy, you all have a great story because you're not just from the local area around here. Talk to me a little bit about how far you traveled today.
We traveled from Memphis, Tennessee. We're season ticket holders here for the Washington Redskins, and we travel to all their home games from Memphis to here for every home game.
Well, we kicked it around a little bit, and we know Dallas is coming to town. But the one thing we do know, it will take a team effort for this team to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And the other thing we know, they can. We'll be back next week talking about the win in the minute. You know, a lot of you have told me that you like our What's Bugging You segment. It's been a pretty good one, but I have to say first what's bugging me. I look at these players now, and everything they do, they have to point to themselves or point to the camera. Back when we played, you just did your job. That bugs me a little bit. G-Man, one of our fans got something that's bugging them.
Yeah, Tony, that's a good point that you just made. What's bugging a friend of mine, this friend of mine, John Booty, you know John Booty, John played with the Jets. What's bugging John Booty about this NFL season is the inconsistency most teams in the NFL are having. It's a Jekyll and Hyde approach. One week a team plays great, the next week they play bad. You don't know who's going to be the good team, who's going to be a bad team, because both teams are playing inconsistently for the whole year. So what's bugging me about the NFL this season, and what's bugging John Booty about the NFL this season, is inconsistency, and I'd have to agree with John.
This is our 4th annual partnering with you, Donna Hopkins, the Throwdown for the Cause.
In honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Together We Fight. Together we become one for those impacted by breast cancer. It was my annual Pink Ribbon Throwdown in conjunction with CrossFit of Laurel's Health and Fitness Expo. Throwing down for the cause. We had a little bit of something for everyone.
I have family members that dealt with it before. I have family members passed away, but you know, like I said, anything you can do to get out, just get some exercise.
How was that today?
Well, it was surprisingly, it was hard. You know, usually I'm at a pace where, you know, I go in, I lift weights, or I jog at my own pace, stuff like that. But, you know, this is where, you know, you got to get so many reps in. Well, you try to get so many reps in within a short period of time. So it was challenging, but it was fun.
Tell me a little bit about what we were doing today.
So today we started, we had the amazing Mocha Lee kicked off the event with a yoga Pilates class. After that, we kind of kicked it up. Coach Marie jumped in and put everybody that was attending through one of our boot camps. And then the third, we kind of wrapped it up. It's kind of a long-standing tradition at CrossFit Laurel that we've kind of incorporated with Donna Hopkins, a throwdown, and throwdown for the cause. And that's a CrossFit workout called Grace, which is 30 clean and jerks for time.
What's the slogan?
Throwing down for the cause. Together, we fight.
Tony, good news. The Redskin Magazine Inc. Minority Scholarship Contest is back again this year. And we're encouraging all seniors to submit essays on the subject. Do you think the Voting Rights Act of 1965 impacts your rights today? Why or why not? And you can submit your essays to redmagplus.com. Once on the website, you go to Youth Sideline. That gives you all the instructions on the essay, how to submit it, and all we can say is they're great prizes, so best of luck to all the writers out there.